Hello? All right, folks, we're going to get started. We have a very full night this evening. So if everybody can come in and take their seats, we will start with a prayer by one of my board members for the Davis County Conservatives, Peter Cannon.
Our beloved Father in heaven, we come before thee this evening in humility and in interest to learn about candidates that are running for office. We thank thee for the system that allows us to choose our leaders. We are thankful to thee for the liberties which we enjoy. We especially are grateful for our Savior Jesus Christ and his influence in our lives, the strength that he gives us and the steadiness which is available to us as we serve in public office. We ask that thou wouldst bless us with discernment this evening as we listen to the candidates for office. Help us to discern the principles that we believe are important. Help us also to understand the principles thou wouldst have us follow. We're grateful to those who have made this building available to us, those who volunteer their time to make this event possible. We're so grateful for these kinds of people that make our lives richer and our decisions better. Please be with us now, with each of our candidates as they present, and with each of those who listen. And we pray this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Oh, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Come on in, folks. Are we streaming? I forgot to ask. We're good. Okay. All right. So we are live. My name is Tina Horlacher, and I am chair of the Davis County Conservatives. And we're a group that has been in process of doing what we're currently doing for a lot of years. 5, 6, I don't know, 7, a lot of years. And we hold community forums twice a month on the 2nd and 4th Thursdays. During election season, we do everything we can to help delegates and county citizens be able to know the candidates that are running, because we want you all to make the very best decision possible when it comes time to vote. So I really want to thank you for being here. I really want to thank you for being delegates. That is a very important position. Delegates are what they sent to the Constitutional Convention in 17, that's when it was ratified, when it convened. And so I want you to understand what you're doing matters, and it is very important. Just a couple of things so I don't forget. Convention is on April 18th, and I know there were competing events tonight. I'm sorry that it worked out that way. There's such a condensed time from when caucus happens to when convention happens that we just have to pile it in. We tried really, really hard to have a debate with the CD1 candidates, and we're going to have that after convention. Unfortunately, there's just not one day that we could fit that in. County convention is April 18th. If you're a delegate, if you're a county delegate, please raise your hand. If you are a state delegate, please raise your hand. Okay. So your role as a delegate then is to get to know the candidates as best as you can and to discern the candidate that is truly going to represent Davis County the best. All right, so one other thing is, how many of you like RCV, ranked choice voting? How many of you hate RCV? Oh wow, okay, I'm kind of with you guys. So at county convention, I've put forth a bylaw to get rid of ranked choice voting, so you guys can all vote for my bylaw. We are going to just get started. We've got Uriah Kennedy and Ingrid Bettridge of God and Country that are going to be moderating this event, and I'm going to turn the mic to them. Oh, one last thing. We have this. If you are not getting our emails, put your name on this, okay? Only if you're not getting our emails. And we also have a donations can going around. We donate to candidates, so if you'd like to help us in that pursuit, we'd appreciate that as well.
Welcome everybody out. So like she said, I'm Uriah Kennedy and this is Ingrid Bettridge. We're from the God and Country podcast. If you haven't seen us, haven't gotten a slip, please look us up on YouTube, Rumble, anywhere you get your podcast. We interview a lot of candidates throughout the state. We're quite active. You name it, we discuss it. So it's very, very important subjects. We are long format, so they're probably 2 to 3 hours long. In that type of time frame, we really pull out a lot of personalities, a lot of stuff you cannot find out in a 1 or 2 minute snippet, even in debates like this where they can only respond for 1 minute. We really can dial in and you really pull out a lot of personalities, what they truly believe in. So if you really want to know the truth, then watch the podcast. We're going to go ahead and get started with the county clerk. We've only got one individual here tonight willing to debate us. The other guy didn't choose to show up. So we'll have our county clerk come up, and then we're going to give her, or him, I don't remember who it is. Oh, they're right there. We're going to give them 20 minutes, and then we're going to get to commissioners. We got 7 commissioners here, so it's going to be, 9 of them. Yeah, all of them are here. So yeah, all of them are here. Yeah, make sure that. Hold on 1 second. No? All right, we're going to give him a minute. A minute to start. So kind of introduce yourself for a minute, then we'll get right into questions. So just kind of let everybody know who you are and what your platform is.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight, for your time. Really, this is what I love about the caucus convention system, to where you can come out, you can hear those questions, you can press us, you can get to really get down to vetting us and hopefully nominating us. So my name's John Whitesides. I'm running for county clerk. I have lived in Davis County for a good 20 plus years. The reason why I'm running for a county clerk, I feel like there are things that we can provide a better service with increased transparency at a lower cost to the taxpayers, the voters, and to do that consistently, and to do things that are not just because they're statutorily required, but things that we can proactively do to always keep the citizens informed of things that are going on. My background is I have about 18, 20 plus years and a combination of finance, banking, auditing. I used to do state state agencies, cities, counties, looking at not just finances, but also programs. And again, looking at those things, are they effective and are they a benefit to the taxpayers? So that's, and currently I'm in public affairs, so I think that would be great in terms of being able to communicate in an effective way, consistently, and effectively to the citizens day in and day out.
Okay, first question here, and if there are additional questions, if you'll hand them to Tina or Uriah. What do you think is the current level of confidence in the fairness and accuracy of voting in Davis County? Do you think that level is supported by the record? And what would you do to improve it if you think it's too low?
I feel like the confidence is less, so if we had to like kind of put it on a scale, it needs improvement. There's improvement that, and it's a lot of things that just kind of, it's not any one particular thing, but there are many things. For example, although there's a statutory requirement for the Lieutenant Governor's office to post signature petitions for statewide candidates, and that is not a requirement for counties. That's one of the things that people are always asking, well, you know, where is the process? You know, where are people? Have they met their signature count? And then some of the other things is when we talk about when we're actually voting, there's not, you know, how many packets have come in, or sorry, for the signature petitions, I would like to see this week. So X number of petitions came in, X number were verified. We had X number that had issues. We have X number that are being audited. I think those things and being put out to the public week in and week out, again, creates a better window of transparency, which can instill better confidence in the election process. And then the same thing to be said when we get to election season, you know, how many ballots have come in, how many have been counted, what is still being worked on, and basically just have a rolling accountability to the voters. So those are some of the things that I've seen. There's others, but I don't want to get too far off because I know we have some other questions.
Yeah, we got plenty of those. So one of the big things happening in the news right now, obviously, is the SAVE Act. SAVE Act is getting passed, but we've also passed HB 209 here in the state that allows for verification of citizenship on every single ballot, which is a lot more powerful than just verification of signatures. So how will you implement that? Obviously, to verify every single one is going to take a lot of staff members, but the work's got to be put in. So kind of tell us how you think you could implement HB 209 and the SAVE Act.
Yeah, for HB 209, I was in support of that bill because, again, there's other countries who are less advanced technology-wise, less advanced economically, that already do those things. They require the kind of the burden of proof that you are a citizen of that country. And so I think that's great for the state of Utah. And a lot of the way on how to implement that is outlined in the bill itself. And so I think that the challenge there is ensuring that not only the clerk's office is trained on what can be provided and the process on how to verify those things, whether that's through the registrations that are coming in, but also on election day. Also making sure that that is uniform down to other election officers, which those are people that will be at the different polling places on election day. And so what I do want to do is I want to make sure that is strictly adhered to. And depending on where the SAVE Act goes, that will depend on if they're given a full ballot or if they're only allowed to do a provisional ballot for federal offices. So that is still kind of up in the air. But I do like that we know from this point going forward, our state and local elections will be voted on by U.S. citizens.
Mail-in voting, like it or don't like it, and why?
I wish I could give a completely straight answer on that. What I will say is that I feel that post-COVID, mail-in voting probably has expanded more than I would be comfortable with. We know that it is more convenient, but there is also the concern of apathy, of it sitting on your table or on your fridge and not getting filled out, not getting sent in. There's also we have a high number of people who do church service here in Utah, and sometimes mom and dad are thinking they're doing the right thing, and they'll just sign that ballot for their kids. And that's just, I guess that's an example of that, it could happen with a spouse, with a partner. And so I really like the idea of getting up and being like, it's election day, and being excited about your civic duty to go down and cast your vote. And one by one, you're going in and you're making that decision that is ultimately going to affect your life for the next 2 to 4 years, depending on what the office is. And so to kind of come back to your question, like it or love it, I see that there is some, probably some need for that, but I feel like it should be limited. And I feel that if we were to kind of pull that back a little bit, we can probably reduce the resources that are expended on elections, but we can also have tighter security on those things going forward.
Well, the current county clerk experienced some undue influences during the last election. As a county clerk, you answer to the people because it's an elected office. You don't answer to the governor, you don't answer to the legislature, you don't answer to anybody else. How are you going to make sure that no undue influences or pressures are put upon you that goes against the will of the people?
I think the first thing is that I'm not a politician. This is the first time I've run for office, and I'm not looking to make a career out of it. So be it one term or be it probably no more than two, I'm not in it to be doing favors so that I can maintain in that area. Really, again, it's up to the voters, especially the delegates, to decide if I am elected, for them to decide in 2 years from now, do we like Jonna Whitesides or do we not? And then to accept and respect the will of the people. And so I will commit to you right now that if I am elected, I will still go the same convention-only route because, again, I feel like government is an extension of the people, and it's not for us to enrich ourselves, it's to serve and to make things better because it is funded by the taxpayer.
What do you see as the biggest challenges facing our county clerk's office? And if elected, how will you address these challenges?
So I will say that I have been down every week seeing the signature verification process. I think a lot of that has been kind of the focus is kind of cast that light on the county itself because I hopefully, if you don't know, if everybody doesn't know, the Davis County Clerk's Office is the office contracted by Lieutenant Governor's office to verify statewide signature petitions, and that's been since the inception of Senate Bill 54. And there's an interlocal agreement in that where it says, you know, Davis County will do A, and in turn, Lieutenant Governor's office will do B, mainly providing the reimbursement on certain things. I have a concern with that in that I'm not sure that we get fully reimbursed. Last night, County Clerk did state that he said we do get fully reimbursed, but in the contract itself, it only states a number of items and other items it does not. So that could be neither here nor there, but what I will say is that what I would want to do as a county clerk is get the county out of the business of doing the job for the Lieutenant Governor. They already have the money appropriated. Are they going to have to create their own election center? Probably so. Are they going to have to hire temporary staff? Yes, but the Davis County Clerk's Office already does that. And so again, they've already got the money appropriated by the legislature. Let's put the onus back on who has the statutory responsibility to do it.
I'm going to read this question because it's similar to the last one I questioned, but I like how they phrase it here. In one of the last audits that was performed on signature verification, it was revealed that signature verification is subjective, and in the Lieutenant Governor's response, he confirmed that some of the mistakes made were probably due to the subjective nature of the signature verification process. What are your thoughts on signature verification process, and what can be done to make election process less subjective?
Great question. So in my short experience going down and looking at signature verification, which has been weekly since signatures have been being turned in, one of the things that I noticed is that it is subjective to the best of their ability and their training, but when you look at the different records of signatures that go in there, so you've got pen to paper, but you also have some digital things, and so trying to kind of reconcile those things can create a little bit, you have to make a judgment call. I will say that there, again, you would want to, I think, first of all, communicate with the public and say, you know, this week we received X number of packets and X number of signatures in those packets. We have reviewed X number of signatures. They have all gone through a second review. And then we have X number who are either, you know, they were, and actually put what that is. So they were not registered, or they lived outside of the county, and we're not even disclosing personal information, so I believe we could do that, because then that gives it starts you at a baseline when you start that, and then through the whole process, you're continually reporting back to the public on what's going on through that process. I think that's one thing for that transparency. And then the other thing is just, again, to ensure that people are properly trained, that things go through the proper reviews, second reviews if needed, and if needed, then you can also ask for outside help, whether that be independent third party or from the auditor's office or lieutenant governor's office. Again, I'm not a lawyer, so I would always defer to the county attorney on what the proper way is to go about that. But I think that there's having external reviews on things that are questions or have questions that are raised, again, will then provide that transparency, and then to also report that and say that we did this.
Delegates are asking, what are your guiding principles?
My guiding principles would probably be, God, family, country. Come from a good history of family serving in the military. I was not able to serve in the military because they told me I had flat feet, and then I have diabetes. So they say that's a big deal, like to get your insulin and stuff. So, but I really do love this country. I think it's the greatest in the world. And those are my guiding principles, are that we are so blessed because we have the freedom to worship an almighty God in the way we choose without fear of, persecution. And through that, I can raise a family in a place knowing that I can teach them those things about faith, about service, about honor. And, because this country is so great, it allows us the freedom to, again, come together. Thomas Jefferson said he envisioned small ward republics as those who would be learn and be successful in governing themselves. So I think about our communities as those small ward republics, to where then we can collectively come together. And it doesn't mean that we're going to agree on everything, and that's okay. We can have disagreements, but as we come and get to know our neighbors, we get to know them. Even if we have disagreements, we can do it respectfully and respect them, that they are engaged and ultimately, collectively put forth the best candidates who are going to serve the people.
Do you think the clerk's office is properly staffed, particularly through election seasons?
Good question. So I will say I've looked into some of the numbers. I will say that and the 2025 annual comprehensive financial report is not ready. It's typically out in June, if I'm correct. But looking from 2024, the clerk's office from 2023 to 2024 went from 14 full-time employees to 20 full-time employees. So we'll have to see kind of what that 2025 number looks like. But they do have the ability to hire temporary employees. In fact, to the county's credit, you can go on the website, and there's a place where you can click to be a temporary election worker. So as far to your question on whether they're appropriately staffed or not, I think, I don't know the answer, but what I can say is if we look at the last election and we see, and this can even be the municipal elections last year, if we see that it's taking too long to cure ballots post-election night, then I would probably say the answer may be that we probably are not staffed enough to do that. But again, I can only know so much from the outside and what's available in terms of the reports.
Similar to the last question, but also different, what is your leadership style and your management style?
Great question. I've had a pretty interesting career path, going from finance and auditing to chasing down floods and wildfires, and now being in public affairs. But that has kind of guided my management leadership style in the sense of surround yourself with good people. Know that you don't have all the answers. Trust people to do the work, but also have the expectations and hold people accountable. And likewise, let your people hold you accountable as well. Because only if we're kind of on that same playing field, that it's do as I do and not do as I say, can you create a culture of high-performing teams. And with that, you have more buy-in, you're vested in your job to do that, and you're just not trying to come and collect a paycheck. And so I think it's more of the personal. It's, again, being humble enough to recognize when you're wrong, but also taking responsibility as the leader for when bad things do happen.
How much does the signature gathering process cost the county?
That is a good question, and I don't know. Like I said, I've gone through the reports, the annual reports, and also through the budgets, and it's not specified on a line item. I have put in a request to the county controller to ask what that was. Actually, my question was, can you tell me what the costs were for the 2024 election versus what we got reimbursed? And so I will follow up. I'm happy to follow up with anybody on that, but it is in the process because it's not, and I'm not saying anybody's doing anything nefarious. You've got hundreds of pages in those financial reports, so when you think about all the different departments in the county, it's probably hard to break out everything, but I am looking into it.
What points would you say make you different than the incumbent?
A couple of things make me different than the incumbent. Again, I would be coming in new, so anytime I've gone into something new, and whether it's been like a new wildfire, a new flood, a new regulatory process where I'm currently at, it's always to challenge the status quo and to say, okay, I understand that there are laws. Those take a little bit more work to change. And regulations or state rules, those sometimes take a little bit more to change. But let's look at the policies, and what are the policies? How long have they been in place? And then all those policies are on the table because they can be changed. And just because things have been being done a certain way for X amount of years doesn't necessarily mean that they're the most effective way today. And so I think the difference between me and my opponent, the incumbent, is that I would put everything on the table to be able to be changed with the goal or the guiding principle that everything we do has to be for the benefit of the citizens of Davis County, and knowing that we are subject to following laws, but let's find every reason to say yes to information without compromising personal privacy, so that, again, looking at that being a more customer service oriented office.
Next question is, the county receives one-time funds every once in a while for both state and federal. How should those funds be spent, and what should be the regulations behind it?
I will answer that with a county that I audited several years ago when they said we don't have any more money because we use this one-time money to fund a program. And the conversation was, well, it actually says it's a project grant. You have a beginning and you have an end date. And so anything that's a one-time money needs to be used on a project that has a completion date, not on a program, because a program will extend. It's basically, you're not going to make up, you got to make up the money at some point. When I was running federal grants at the state level, some of these state agencies would say, oh, we want to hire these people, and they've got these qualifications, and they're going to do great things. And I said, great. Well, you can give them a 2-year contract, because that's how long the grant goes. With the stipulation, if more money comes in, then you can extend it another 2 years, and so on and so forth. And they said, well, why can't we just hire them? And it's like, because you have X amount of dollars, you're putting more people on with a funding mechanism that ends at a certain point in time. And so that's just good business. It's good stewardship.
I lost which one I wanted to ask you. Oh, what experience do you have? People are, there's been a little bit of disappointment in what happened in our last election. So what is your experience regarding elections?
So I do not have any professional experience in running elections, but I do have that 18 plus years of auditing experience. And so my kind of, I guess my perspective or the way I think when it comes to these things is everything that we do with taxpayer resources has to be in some way accountable or reportable back to the taxpayer on the way we're doing it. And that's not just the bottom line in the numbers, that's what the programs are, how they run, where there are missteps, where there are things that we can do better, and to acknowledge those things that went wrong and to take responsibility for them to make things better, and then report back later on when those things have been implemented. I think that, and I can't speak for the county, but what I can say is that the state legislature, based upon some of those concerns that came up in 2024, did subsequently pass additional legislation to strengthen our election integrity and security. And so we see that those actions have happened, and that is how I want to see things happen. I want to see them in a transparent, public way so that we can point to, yes, there may have been this control or this process that wasn't as strong. This is what we've done. This is what we've implemented, and this is how it is going forward. And then, obviously, I would like to increase the visibility that people can come in, observe, watch, just really look at every opportunity, again, that we can give people to be part of the process, kind of behind the scenes, knowing that we have to operate within certain laws.
All right, give us a 1-minute summation.
So I guess, again, if you just came in, I'm John Whitesides. I'm running for county clerk. I really, truly love this county. We've been in this county for 20 years. All my siblings think that they're in the better place in Weber County, but that's why me and my wife are out here, because Davis County is the best. And with it being the best and being a great place that I love to live, to raise a family, this is why I'm running for county clerk, to ensure that everything that we do that's hardworking, the values of community, of service, that those things don't fall by the wayside because we have to put all of our time and effort into focusing on what may or may not be happening with our government. We should be able to trust our government. We should be able to also, in a sense, have a boring government. If we have a boring government, then we're not having concerns about it because they are functioning in the way that government is supposed to function for benefit of the people, which is by the people and funded for the people. For that reason, I'm running. Again, thank you for being here, taking of your time. It does really require an effort, and I'm asking for your support and for your vote, so thank you.
All right, thank you, Jonna. It's not Jonah, it's Jonna. So, yeah, he'll answer. Anyway, while they're getting all the county commission candidates to come up, let's have seat A on this side and seat B on this side. The chairs that don't have microphones, there are extra microphones right up there that we can grab and give them to you. But while they're getting situated and getting mic'd, I'm just going to go over a couple of things with everybody. The first is I wanted to just explain a little bit about who the Davis County Conservatives are. We are an organization that believes in constitutional government. The reason why we have Republican candidates here is because we believe in the Republican Party platform, and we work with, we try to be as supportive to the party, to the Davis County Republican Party as we can be. So a number of people have asked me, I don't know who I'm voting for. How do I know who I'm voting for? Well, there's a couple ways that you could know. You can just go to your browser and type in Davis County candidates, and you'll see Davis County candidates 2026. If you click on that, then you will see every candidate there is to be elected. And if you know what Senate district you're in and what legislative district you're in, then you will know who you are voting for. But as a county delegate, you are going to vote for every county position. So, so everybody will be voting for the county positions that we are currently vetting tonight. Are they all mic'd and ready to go? Okay. I don't want to take any time away from them. So lastly, the emails that you're getting from us, you'll notice that how many of you are reading our emails? I mean, you're here, so you must be. So you'll notice I sent out an email on Monday with the sheriff candidates, and we had interviewed almost all of the sheriff candidates, and then we had the debate. So in the one email, we had interviews that you could listen to for most of the candidates, and then the debate. And last night I emailed out the House and the Senate as well. I made one mistake on that, and that was Lillian Bittner. I said she declined to interview and to debate. She debated, but she didn't interview. So I just wanted to make that correction. So you'll also be getting an email regarding this race as well. Are you guys ready to go? Okay. Does everybody have a mic?
I'm the only one without a mic, but I can talk really loud over into this mic if you want me to.
Oh, you don't have one of those mics.
I've got one.
Oh, you have one. Okay, who does not? You have to have this one too.
Oh, got it.
Because yours.
Yes.
Turn the button on the bottom.
Button on the bottom, and then it will grow green.
All right, we're going to get started with the commissioners. So we're going to go through a 1-minute introduction, give each one of you a 1 minute. Because there's so many of you, we're going to limit the answers to 1 minute, and we really want you to limit to 1 minute so we can get through a lot more questions because there's just so many of you responding. So you want to hold that one and that one up. We're going to start with you and just move this way, and then we'll reverse the directions when we get to the questions, but if you can just give us a 1 minute introduction. Is that mic in your hand?
I think that's on as well.
You're good.
Is that correct? At some point in time, I do want to ask you how Jesus changed your life. And hopefully you'll share that with us because your shirt asks it. Hopefully everybody's okay with me taking the first moment to just say thank you so much for the Faith Baptist Church for having us. Tina and the DCC, I mean, this group is incredible. I've been coming to the events for, the last 6 or 7 months, and I'm so impressed with everybody. To me, this is the very epicenter of people who are involved in Davis County politics. And so thank you so much for having us and for all that you do. And Tina is so kind. She reaches out to, I have some pregnant mares right now that are about to give birth, and she's reached out to me with some tips to help them have a better delivery. So she's just the kindest person on the planet. Now we'll start my 1 minute. John Adams, I am running for County Commissioner, Seat A. And for those of you that don't know, of course, they just instructed, but there's 2 seats that we'll be talking up here. I'm running for Seat A. I've lived in Kaysville for the last 26 years and have been on Kaysville City Council for 7 of those years. And I'll just say right now that the last 4 months have been the happiest of my life. Doing this is something that I was born to do. And so I'm just so grateful for the opportunity, and I'm grateful to get to know you and to be here tonight with you. Brings total joy to me and to my life. Cut it? Okay. I like to get cut off. There we go.
Okay, good. I feel like I have to stand now, but I guess I'll.
No, you start.
Again, I just want to say thank you to the Faith Baptist Church and to the DCC for hosting this event. I'm Austin Graham, running for Davis County Commissioner, Seat A. I'm a convention-only candidate. I'm a strong supporter in the caucus and convention system, and I appreciate all of you guys to that are delegates that are going to be participating in convention. And that'll be a great time here on the 18th at Syracuse High School, just so you know. So I live currently in Syracuse. I've lived in Davis County the majority of my life. I was recently moved from Clinton to Syracuse, where I served on the city council there for a couple years. As a profession, I work as a paramedic, and I'm also a supervisor there, and I've been doing that for 15 years, and I continue my education. I have a master's degree in business administration, and I am grateful to be able to have this opportunity to help but serve the county.
Hi there, my name's Kendallyn Harris. I'm really glad to be here with you tonight. I grew up in Davis County, one of 11 siblings. In Bountiful, went to Viewmont High School, and married James Harris. I have 4 children, ages 18 to 25, and went to the University of Utah, where I graduated in political science and communications. For the last 4 years, I've been serving as the mayor in Bountiful, and prior to that, 8 years on the city council. So for 12 years, I've had oversight over the Bountiful budget, and that's the second largest city in the county. And I'd love to bring that experience to the county. Thanks.
My name is Scott Fletcher. I've met many of you. I've been a state and county delegate. I was the vice chair of the Davis County Republican Party. So thank you for being here. I know what it takes to kind of go through this process. So once again, I'm running, Scott Fletcher, running for seat A. And my background is I've got 4 children and 11 grandchildren. They all live in Davis County. I'm a 66-year resident of Davis County. I grew up in Bountiful and Centerville. I now live in Layton. I was around when I-15 didn't exist, so that'll give you some idea. So I've seen all this growth. I understand where it has come from. I've been an eyewitness to what's going on here. As a profession, I'm a physicist, so I'm different than everybody that's up here. I'm the scientist on the board. I exercise in data. You'll see t-shirts around here that says I'm the data guys, because I think data is important to be able to make decisions. I think a real advantage for me is that I've not been in municipal government. I am not a politician. I am someone that will drive decisions based on data. So thank you very much for being here.
Good evening. My name's Susan Lee, and I'm running for seat B. And I am so happy to be here tonight to be able to introduce myself to you. As I have gone through, and I've made a lot of phone calls and heard a lot of concerns, and they're the same concerns that got me to run in the first place. I remember I received a notice that we were getting a tax increase, and it kind of woke me up. I had served on the Kaysville City Council for 4 years, and that was back in 2014 to 2018, and I honestly thought I was done serving in politics. But it kind of jarred me, because I thought, what is going on? Because my background, I'm an accountant, and when I saw a 30% tax increase, it was kind of like a red flag. And so I went to all the truth and taxation hearings trying to figure out why all of a sudden we would get such a large amount at once. And I did a lot of digging and found out that we have is that my time? Anyway, I appreciate it, and I hope to be able to tell you more about this. Thanks.
I was just going to ask, is Hayden Hoyen here tonight? If you are, stand up. He's our 18-and-a-half-year-old delegate, first time, and the reason he served is because Pastor Chuck said, I think you should be a delegate. So I just want to thank Faith Baptist, Pastor Chuck, Pastor Rod, and Hayden for being one of our very first-time delegates at 18-and-a-half years old. One quick shout-out for Tina. She showed up for Clinton City when I ran a term limit ordinance and came and spoke on behalf of term limits. And so now, as a mayor in Clinton, we have term limits for mayor, city council, planning commissioner, and RAP tax committee. So thank you, Tina, for standing up for term limits. All right, quick intro. Brandon Stanger running for seat B. I'd love to see term limits not only at the county, but at the state and in our federal government. I'm not afraid to stand up and make hard decisions and go out on a limb and basically do the hard things that a lot of other people won't do. I think we have a listening problem in the commission. They don't like to listen to the mayors or those residents, especially when it comes to taxation and a lot of other issues. And I do bring a background in business, finance, and have also been a mayor, so I'm a proven leader, collaborator, and relationship builder. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Laureen Minor Kamalu, and I am currently serving this great county. I love my service. My husband and I moved to Kaysville when Lane was active duty at Hill Air Force Base in 1996. We stayed by choice because it's such an amazing place to live, and we've raised our 5 children here. My background is business, but before I became and was elected a county commissioner, I served in my city on the planning commission. It was foundational to serve in Kaysville as a planning commissioner as a citizen. In fact, it was so exciting and engaging for me that I went back to school, hadn't planned to do this, but I got a master's of public administration. My car is one of the last to leave the county administration building parking lot. The service is very meaningful. I do a lot of health, human services, and criminal justice, and I have had tax policy, and I've had public finance, and some things that have been very, very important in this role. Thank you for the chance to be with you tonight.
All right. So just so everybody is fully aware, the first 4 seats here are seat A, and the last 3 are seat B. So 2 different decisions you're going to have to make. They're not all running for the same seat. So just so everybody knows the comparison reasons. That being said, this is a team sport, being commissioner. So how do you play the team sport without compromising your values? And we'll start down here and just go all the way down 1 minute.
Yeah. Every single elected official in Davis County is independently elected, and they have their responsibilities in state law. The 3-member Board of Commission is unique that way. We each have our own vote. We each have our own mind. But we also do need to work together cooperatively and have respect for one another. We do not always vote the same. There was an example in the budget just a few months ago where I disagreed with my colleagues and did not want to see taxpayer money going to nonprofits. I felt like it was very important that taxpayer money is only used for running the government services that we're required to by law. So we don't always agree, but we do need to be respectful, and the commission is different from all the other positions that way. We are executive, and we are legislative, and we actually have a lot of administrative responsibilities, and my handout that I tried to catch a lot of you is also on my table if you didn't get one. It shows you the responsibilities currently in seats A, B, and C. It's helpful.
John, good to see you. I hope I get to work with you. I think there's some dysfunction in the commission, and it needs to be talked about, and I think we need people that can sit down at the table and collaborate no matter who it's with, no matter how much they disagree in policy, but that we treat each other with respect and that we try to work on a common goal on how do we get that achieved. That's one of the things as a mayor I was able to do on a regular basis. Most people don't know this. Mayors don't get to vote. All we get to do is negotiate, collaborate, lead, try to set that vision. And that's exactly what I'd be doing at the county, is just trying to bring people together, collaborate, and let's have wins for Davis County.
So I know what a team player is all about. I raised 4 sons. But I have to say, I learned how to be a team player when I was elected to be the Lincoln Club president of Davis County. And with that responsibility, I was in charge of the fundraising for the party, and I had the opportunity to organize and put together the Lincoln Day dinners for the last 3 years. And during that time, I had a committee, and I got to work with the committee. We all had different ideas. I'm not afraid to delegate the what has to be done. And I know that with teamwork, you can put on the best, or you can accomplish the best things to come. And we did. The first year we put it on, we broke the records for fundraising for the party. And we have been able to use that money to help, you know, when we have caucus night, we have to pay for all the buildings. We have money to help support the candidates, and so I was glad to be a part of that.
So the proper role of government is to represent the people. So although there are 3 county commissioners, their role and responsibility is to represent you, the people. So we need to bring, so the way that I will do this is I will bring the people in citizen committees to help the commissioners make decisions. To think that the commissioners are smart in every topic is just a misnomer. And we've got to bring the people in. It'll eliminate apathy. It will bring expertise to the table, and we, meaning the commissioners and the people, will make good decisions together. So this is what we need to do into the future, is bring you as citizens into the game. Thank you very much.
I love the question. It's really important to work together as a team, and I've had a lot of experience at this. So I mentioned that I am one of 11 siblings, and so growing up, you can imagine that I learned how to work with different people. And also, as on the city council, I was on the city council in Bountiful for 8 years, and during that time, there were different council members that came and went every 2 years, and there were many different personalities. And so it was a great exercise in learning. And then when I became mayor, I was running the meeting, and so then it was very important to me to set a respectful tone. And so I wanted to make sure that through every topic, there were definitely things that we voted on that were heated. There were definitely times when people didn't agree, but I wanted to make sure that every council member was heard and that we had respect. And sometimes there were council meetings where people were yelling at us or yelling at me, and I set the tone of respect, and that's how I operate. Thank you.
So being able to work with commissioners is going to be what this is all about, right? And being able to work with the public. I do have a strong voice, and I'll be able to make sure that I do not go against my conservative values, which I feel is very important. Having been a paramedic, working on an emergency scene can be pretty hectic, and I can work in stressful situations and work well with multiple different agencies, different individuals. I feel like that has given me a good strength to be able to make sure I can work well, even if it is a heated argument. And I think that's the whole point of being an elected representative, is to be able to have 3 different voices that can help make decisions for the county. And as your elected representative, I would make sure that I hold to my conservative values. Thank you.
The changing cards here. Sorry, you have to give me extra time to do this. Okay, thank you so much. There was, in fact, as I was walking in here tonight, I met a gal that noticed my fraternity ring. And as an 18-year-old, I memorized a phrase that said that I believe that friends who are different talents, temperaments, and convictions are superior to friendship among people having the same temperaments, talents, and convictions. And that genuine friendship can be maintained without sacrificing principles of individuality. And I believe in that credo for all of my life. The people who are the most different from you are the ones that you're going to learn the most from and you'll grow closer to. I have every single one of these people's name and number in my phone and call all of them. Not all of them answer, Scott, but most of them do. And I think that that is so important as a county commissioner, because although you represent the people, you are 1 vote and you need 2 votes to get things done. And so you need to be a person that is good at relationship making. Thank you.
Let's start with you on this question, and I'd like you all to answer this. How will you make responsible tax decisions when culture has been to never say no to anything, and where has the county wasted taxpayer funds?
Okay, in a minute, I'm supposed to answer
you're wasted, we're timing you.
All of that, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that where the government is, or the county's currently wasted taxpayer funds was using one-time funds for long-term expenses. And so most of us have seen what that caused with the 30% increase. And so anytime you get federal funds, I'm trying to talk really fast, anytime you get federal funds, ARPA funds in this circumstance, and you use those funds for employees, that money's gonna be gone. And you're gonna have to find another way to get to it. The second part of your question, or the first part of your question answered second by me, is that when you're dealing with telling people no, you have to actually figure out a way to help them solve the solution. When government people come to you asking for an employee, your response should not be no. It should be, what do you need the employee for, and how can I help you achieve this thing that you need without hiring another employee or without costing the taxpayer dollars. So for me, it's more about not just saying no, it's more about helping them solve the problem. And I'm good at that.
Mic swap's pretty fun. So yeah, that's a great question with taxes. One thing I want to do when I get in is be able to talk with all of you, all of Davis County residents, and be able to decide what we want our money to be spent on. Government funding should be spent for the people and by the people. John gave some great examples about ARPA funds. I was going to go into that, but he covered that. Just a few other things is, you know, I was up at the Capitol for this legislative session, and there's a lot of things that happen up there, and one thing I notice is, yeah, there's sure just a lot of food laying around everywhere, which is paid by taxpayer funds and then gets thrown in the garbage. So that's one thing, is being able to look line by line in the budget and saying, what are things that we can trim a little bit? And I would urge each elected official to be able to look at the budget and say, let's come up with 5% in each area of our budget to be able to reduce. And what was the second part? Did I cover both? Okay, thanks.
So I think it's really important, this question, and our party platform talks about this. It talks about how we need to have restraint with our fiscal budgets. And in Bountiful, I did have a time where I said no to a tax increase. And I only voted for tax increases if it was tied specifically to essential services. And there were many times where I said no in Bountiful. There were people who were emailing me all the time or calling and asking, you know, there's this great, fun program they do in Salt Lake. It would be so fun to initiate this. Let's get this started. And so I got very used to saying no, because I knew that adding these things, as fun as they may sound, would grow government and would increase costs. And so it's something that I feel really comfortable with, and I think it's important that we say no.
We're going to have everybody hold your applause until the end so we can get through this a little bit quicker.
Can you repeat?
How will you make responsible tax decisions when the culture has been to never say no to anything? And where has the county wasted taxpayer funds?
Great. Well, first off, I did call John back, and unfortunately, he had blocked my number. So let me answer. So let me answer the question. So you're going to hear a lot of platitudes on how one would go about it, and it's not about relations, and it's not about making friends. What it is about looking at the facts. So you got to have a process by which you look at the facts. You got to look at schedule. How does it take? Cost. You got to look at performance. You got to look at risk. You have to look at quality of life. You fundamentally need to look at the data, because the data will give you the answer that you need. So that's the way that you make good decisions on taxes and pulling back those taxes. By the way, I will pull back many of the taxes that are out there today. Second question, where have we spent funds? Wasted funds. So I think a lot of those funds were wasted in the fact that we spent one-time money. John talked about this, one-time money. But the thing they did not understand was the strategic nature of that one-time money. There's recurring costs that one has to pay. That means one, meaning us, the people have to continue to pay. instead of using that one-time fund for one-time things. And so we need to be strategic, very strategic about the way that we spend our money, that we look into the future, and we use a very clear process of data that is be able to answer the people. And we must be transparent. We are obligated to you, the citizens, to spend your money wisely. Thank you.
So just to give you an idea of how I think about public money and how it should be spent, right after I got off the city council, the next city council and mayor came on, and they wanted to put fiber into Kaysville. And they wanted to take out a $35 million bond to put it in. And so I was able to go before the council and get them to put it on the ballot. And once it got on the ballot, I helped spearhead the effort to vote that down. And we won. We voted it down. And you know what happens when you get out of the, when government gets out of the way? The company still came in and put fiber into Kaysville. We're probably the only city, I would say, in all of Utah that didn't take out a huge bond to put fiber into our city. And that's the way I would look at it with the county. Is there a way that we can do this without the huge cost and burden on the backs of the people? Thanks.
There's multiple cities now, Susan, that have got fiber with no taxpayer dollars. We did that in Clinton, and there's a few other cities that have done that. So I'm a big believer, keep government out of private business and vice versa. One of the biggest issues with the county, I mentioned earlier, was listening. As a group of mayors, they pitched us, we want to do a bond for an animal shelter. And we all said, nope, we don't support that because we don't think the voters would have supported that. So instead, what do? Go right around, take the money out of the general fund. Commissioner Crofts just brought it up this past month. Hey, we could do a vote, put the brakes on, restudy this, maybe move it, save some money. Guess what? Didn't pass. If I was there with Commissioner Crofts, that'd be one of the first things I'd look at, and how to quit spending all this extra money on these big shiny buildings that I don't think we need. $15.5 million, emergency operations center that just opened. When I was there taking a tour, some of the other people there were saying, this is the nicest thing in the entire state. Even better than the state of Utah. People, what's wrong with a bomb shelter? Let's be smarter with our money and use common sense.
Okay, I have some awesome handouts. Don't forget to get them by the table. There's a yellow handout that shows exactly where all the one-time money was spent. You'll enjoy looking at that. Very important one-time projects. There were requests in criminal justice from the sheriff's office, from the attorney's office, because we were growing all of this time, and there were all kinds of needs that this county values, especially with public safety. Another thing you'll want to know is that when we do our public budget meetings and we do all of our we plan for the next fiscal year, all of those meetings are open and public. There is one person on this stage who attended those meetings besides me, and I very much respected that investment in coming to learn. So the budget process, we said no to everything that wasn't required by law, everything. And another handout says that the unfunded mandates from the state are killing local governments, so we've got to pay attention to the state growing government.
All right, there was a significant tax increase approved just within the last few years. What led to that? What could have prevented that? We're going to actually start with Susan, loop around to you, then come right back down to John and go this way.
So when I looked into it, the monies that were received weren't just from COVID. They also got money from the CARES Act, from the Biden administration. So between the two, it was approximately $90 million that they received. And with that, the spending that they did build the emergency center, which they just had a grand opening for. And they did use it on some projects that I think are very good for the county. But with that, they kept spending and spending and spending. And after the $90 million was gone, there was a $12 million deficit that was left. And so that 30% increase they were asking for was to cover that $12 million deficit. When they only took half, which is what they agreed to. They still had the $6 million deficit they had to take care of. And so they've been trying to figure that out. They've had the different departments cut their spendings so that they still have a $4 million deficit they're dealing with. They're offering early retirement so that they can take care of at least another $2 million. They're still going to have $2 million to deal with after that, but that they still have a $4 million deficit.
One of the things I love about term limits is people that have been there end up leaving, because if we always do what we've done, we're going to get what we've got. And when we have people that are proposing 30% tax increases and then changing it to 15 because that's half as good, we've got problems. Tax increases don't come overnight. It's poor planning. Inflation happens year in and year out, and if we're not making some minor adjustments for inflation every so often, guess what? Double digits. And that makes it very difficult for people on fixed incomes, seniors, other people that are having a struggle. So again, we have to be smarter with our planning. We've got to be smarter with our budgets. It's not rocket science, like our data guy says. You can see the numbers and the increases. So thank you.
So I owned a business for 20 years. My husband still is a small business owner. The cost of doing business since 2016 is not the same as it is now. All of us know it in our own households. So the general fund pays for all of the services required by law, and there's been a cumulative 32% inflation since the last tax increase. What you might not know is that there's nothing built into property tax law that accounts for inflation. And so the historic inflation that we've had has been incredibly difficult for Davis County and all counties and all cities. What we have done in the county is kept a very tight budget and had cuts along the way, and we've still made cuts since we did the 15%. Davis County is the 7th lowest cost of county government per capita in the state of Utah, and it's the 1st lowest cost of county government considering every $1,000 of citizen income. So the proof's in the pudding.
So we've gotten killed by 1,000 cuts. It hasn't just been over the last few years. It's been over a long period of time, probably the last 10 or 12 years, that we've been attacked by taxes. And it's been by poor decisions and bad strategic planning. Let me give you some statistics. So schools, 61% of the tax, county, 14.8, cities, 12.7, special districts, 11.5. We have been attacked by cuts, by 1,000 cuts to hit us on taxes. So what do we got to do to move forward? We have got to put the needs before the wants. And it's as simple as that. You as citizens have to live within a budget within your households. We should have to live within a budget within our households. We are putting people out of homes. We are now making unaffordable housing that hopefully we'll get to earlier. With the original intent was to bring in affordable housing. I don't know if you've gone and looked at it, but it's $500 to $1 million for a townhome. That is not affordable housing. We've got all kinds of issues that we need to address, and it needs to be done one piece at a time. There's not one magic pill. It's one piece at a time. Just like it's been put to us, we need to take it back in the same fashion. Thank you.
Thank you. The tax increase has been tough. There have been, it's been a difficult thing to be sure, and there are a lot of things that contribute, but I feel like I've seen it done right. So in Bountiful for 12 years, we've had a balanced budget, and it is about looking ahead and planning for the future and then continuing to focus and budgeting for what your priorities are. And there are things, you know, obviously at the jail, you have to hire enough people to run the jail. You have to hire enough sheriff's deputies. You can't just cut that. And you have to feed the inmates. You have to house the inmates. There are costs, right? The roads cost money. The labor costs money. These expenses continue to rise. But we can be wise, and I would go department by department and look at what is statutorily required and then cut the things that are not.
Okay, obviously property taxes are outrageous right now he has a copy of his. I mean, I looked at mine, and how are we going to be able to afford that, especially people on fixed incomes? That's one thing I'd like to look at, especially as our elderly population, people that are phasing out of work. How are we going to have them? They're going to be taxed out of their homes if we continue this taxation this way. Also, when looking at taxes in the county budget, also people forget about fees. Fees are essentially taxes as well. So while we have property taxes, we have fees to do different projects and things like that. And I think those need to be able to be looked at of, okay, we're providing services, but maybe we need to cut some of these services that are not essential for limited government to be able to make it easier for people to live.
Well, we're switching the mic. Do you mind repeating the question so I make sure? Thank you. I asked him to repeat the question. Did you guys forget it?
There was a significant tax increase over the last few years. What led to that, and what could have prevented it?
Yeah, and I'm glad you repeated it, because I thought you asked what led to it. And a lot of the times what happens is we don't hold truth in taxation very often because we're scared. We're scared to tell people, and I think that's the wrong approach. We have to be, as public officials, we have to be honest with the people. And one of the things that happens when you don't hold truth in taxation, like Brandon pointed out, is that incrementally it catches up to you. And if you use one-time funds to make up the difference, which is what they did, then eventually it's going to hit you like a rock to the head. And so that was the biggest mistake. I used to be bad word saying truth in taxation. But I realized that actually it's the honest approach, is to hold that and to share with the people where we're at and where we're looking, so that you know exactly where the dollars are being spent. And that to me is the most important thing we can do. And we can give a round of applause now that it's the last person, right? Okay.
Okay, on this question, let's go from Lorene to Susan, and then we'll go from back to you, John, and then over to Scott. Do one more with one more minute. For Lorene, this will be a different question for you, because the question is, how will you be different than the incumbent, and what do you like about the current commissioner in your seat? So I'd ask you to add, what would you do different or improve or do better, and what do you like about what you did?
I think I mentioned that I absolutely love what I do. It drives me. I'm in a stage of life where I can give it my all. One of the things that I find came very natural to me, my background is business. I am very collaborative by nature. And there's a whole bunch of leaders in Davis County, both all of the elected leaders and the directors of departments. And nothing complex and difficult can be figured out without a whole bunch of collaboration from all of the leadership. That comes naturally to me, and you and I and all of us in Davis County are very blessed with the quality of the leadership and the government. There's a reason people want to live here.
Is there anything you'd do better?
Do better? There's always ways to do better. I'd have to think about that. Yeah.
Brandon.
I've served with Lorene for 4 years. We're on multiple boards together. I like that she shows up. She's there. She puts in the hard work. It's tough to sit here and pick at each other because, again, I think we try to want to make sure we're able to collaborate. Again, I can't support double-digit tax increases. I can't support spending tons of money on, I think, buildings that we don't need. I just think that with my background, my ability to bring people together, the proven track record, I think I could be a better commissioner. And unfortunately, when someone's already been in for 8 years, my belief is it's time to step aside like the other couple commissioners have done recently, and let's have a fresh set of eyes and somebody else that can make some differences that maybe have been overlooked before.
So one of the first things I would do if elected and representing you is I would bring prayer back to the commission meetings. They currently don't have it, and I know Commissioner Crofts actually made a motion last week or 2 weeks ago, and there was no second, so the motion died. And so I think it's important that we bring it back, because I think in every aspect of everything we do, when I was on the city council, we opened with prayer, and every other meeting that I go to in Utah opens with prayer. So I would do that. Another thing I would do and work on is if I approved a project and it was approved several years ago, and for example, I'm talking about the animal control or shelter, and then when you know price has increased and things have gone up and things have changed and maybe information you get changes, I wouldn't be afraid to put a pause on a project. So I would work hard to make sure that every tax dollar is well taken care of.
Yeah, well, it's on. There we go. Okay. So Bob Stevenson is the seat that we are currently running against. And so I will say that Bob is a fabulous people person for the most part. He goes around and he knows everybody. And we're supposed to talk about something that I would do different. I would lead differently than Bob does. I would bring people together and bring especially the commissioners together. And I think that's one thing that he's struggled with a little bit, and probably a good reason that he's stepping away from it. Because right now we're in a moment where we need a leader in there. And especially as a county commissioner, every single city is like one of your children. I attended Sunset Cities, 5,000 people in Sunset City. I attended their city council, and you know, they told me that not a commissioner has been there, and especially not somebody running, and maybe because they feel like because they're 5,000 that they're neglected. I feel like Bountiful, for example, and cities to the south have been neglected in some regard. I don't see, as a county commissioner, I don't see myself as a Kaysville resident. I see myself as a county man, first and foremost. Oh, there. Whoa.
Can you repeat the question one more time? Sorry.
How will you be different than the incumbent, and what do you like about the current commissioner in your seat?
Yeah, so obviously I haven't really gotten to know Bob, but sounds like he was, you know, a great people person, like John just mentioned. And I think that's, you know, I'm also a people person, so I don't know if that's a little bit different. But one thing that I would like to do is be able to get more people involved. I'm committed to hosting monthly town halls to be able to make sure that I hear from the residents and hear from everyone in the county of what we can do. And I want to be more involved in different activities and making sure that, you know, even if it's a soccer game in a city, and, you know, talk to the residents that are there and just be more present and more available for people to talk questions and make sure that they're aware of what's going on in the county.
I'm grateful for Bob Stevenson's service. He's been there quite a while, and he's a good friend, and I appreciate him and the things that I've learned from him. What I would do differently is, I think that he is busy and scattered, and he's often got things going, and I feel like I would be there working in the county. I feel like it's really easy to even spend 40 hours a week in meetings, but not actually doing the real work that needs to be done on the county. And so I would be very diligent, and I would be very available, and I would be listening to the people and to the employees and to the fellow commissioners, and to work together with the other commissioners.
So one thing you'll know about me is I'll tell it straight, and I'll bring you into the conversation. So this is the straight stuff about Bob Stevens. I am not a supporter. I think he's done a lot of things behind closed door. I think he's represented special interest. The thing that I will do is I will not, first off, I will not accept any money for special interest. I'm funding my own campaign, and I'm looking for support from the people. I will support the people going forward. So what will I do different? I will bring you, the citizens, into the decision-making process of the county commission. I will not do things behind closed doors. I will be very straight. We will make decisions on process. So you'll hear a lot of platitudes, once again, from folks at this up here that are talking. They don't have a process. They don't have the experience. I have more experience than anybody up here making decisions. I've run multi-million and multi-billion-dollar programs. I know how to make decisions. I know how to put them forward. I have a process. And most importantly, that you should know when you walk away from here, is I have the tenacity to make this happen. So I might seem passionate. I mean, you might see it as being angry, but I'm passionate about doing the right thing for you, the citizens. Thank you.
And I thought of something. Do you want me to say it super fast?
10
Came from a delegate last night, actually. He said it would be so awesome for us to see more things online, I guess in social media, where you are talking yourself about some of the questions and things going on, and that could be something I could do more.
Sounds good. All right, next question. Let's do. Oh, I think we're good. All right, this is a personal experience that I had, and we're going to ask this question. So, during the last election cycle, I worked with our great John Croft over here to get him elected, and I called every single delegate in the county to see what their opinions were, to try to see if I can sway them over. Some of my experiences were quite revealing, and so I want all you county delegates to be aware of this as well. As I called delegates, the consideration we had was there was semi-pornographic books in the children's sections of public libraries as well as in schools. And we had somebody who was running that was not necessarily against that, which is why we were calling. So I literally called delegates, and some of the delegates literally said, why wouldn't we introduce our kids to that? They're going to learn about it at some point. Why wouldn't we introduce that? I literally had that from you fellow delegates. And it was more than one. It was probably maybe 5 or 6 of these delegates said, I don't see any problem with that, from our delegates. So how would you deal with issues like that? What could we do better in our libraries, and how do we protect our children? We're going to start in the middle. So we'll start with you, loop around this way, and then we're going to start with you after you get to him. So this way, and then with her, then you, then loop around to him, then you, and then we're going to go to you, then loop around to you. There we go. I'm just trying to give people a chance to go first, so the people in the middle are not going in the middle all the time. So that's great.
Thank you. I can't believe that we would allow semi-pornographic materials in our libraries. So of course that's not appropriate for our community, and of course I would not support that.
So there are foundational principles that we live by. So a lot of the Constitution is based in religious teachings. So those religious teachings teach that we should have, that those kinds of things we should not expose our children to, I believe. Those are values and principles that I hold. I believe that the parents have the responsibility, not the schools and not the libraries, to teach our children. So what I would do is I would make sure you have the right to teach your children the way that you want to teach them. Thank you.
Yeah, gosh darn it. You've got the Midas touch with the microphone. Somehow it works for you afterwards. I disagree, Scott. I think that kids in elementary school, I don't care how great a parent you are, if there's something on the bookshelf that's pornographic, it shouldn't be there. It's the same reason we have locks in the temple, is to keep you from being tempted. And to me, that's a crying shame. If there's anything pornographic in there. Now, unfortunately, these probably lies closer under the school board's jurisdiction, but something that doesn't, that's awesome, Brian Hatch, who's here tonight, who leads the health department that is under the county's purview, deals with, and I've visited with him about youth and addiction. And that's something that actually, as a county commissioner, I could have an impact on. And talking with him about that has made me so excited and thrilled at the idea of our youth having something there for them that helps with addiction, and not just drugs, but also pornography. And so that's something that I could actually do. Yeah.
So let me be clear, because he misrepresented what I said clearly, and you should know that. It's kind of like when he blocked me for the phone. Same thing. He misrepresented me there.
See, now it's not going to work for me.
Well, there we go.
Okay, now it works. That's unfortunate that you had those conversations with the delegates, and maybe that's where we need to make sure people are registered as Republican for long term. Anyways, that's a whole nother subject. Parents should be responsible to teach their children. As a county commissioner, we do have purview over the county libraries, and that's one thing, is making sure that we do have librarians and the people that are in the library and saying what needs to be in there. And again, along with my conservative values, pornography should not be allowed in the library in any form. And that's that.
Yeah. Oh,
Going in the middle.
Okay. I think I've got one of the most compelling reasons to be a commissioner, because I've got 5 kids and I'm closest to most of these issues. I've got one in elementary school, junior high, high school, mission, and college. I'm up and down the county on a regular basis. I would not want my kids to be subjected to pornography in a library, period. Pornography ruins more relationships than probably anything else. It's not just a kid problem, it's an adult problem. My wife and I talk about, if we had our choice, we wouldn't let our kids have agency until age 25 when their brains are fully developed. Because we can't do that. We are very strict on what they can even have on their phone. We block their cameras so they're not sexting somebody. We limit when they can text people. We do everything we can to try to protect those children, because when it's all done and said, that's what we're here to do.
yeah, thanks. We have 5 grown children. I'm on the board of Davis Behavioral Health, and also very familiar with the library system in the county, different from the public schools. There are policies for purchasing everything that goes into the public libraries. You can go online and read those. And then if there is someone who finds something that they think is problematic in one of the 7 branches of the Davis County Library, they have a way to bring that to the attention, and it can be escalated, and there's a process to take care of something that people find that they think is inappropriate.
So I think the hardest thing when I find out that there's pornographic material in libraries is that my tax money was used to purchase it. It's not something I would have gone out and bought, and so, you know, I expect that they take care of those issues and that they respect our monies. And so with that, I look at even the school system, you know, the decline in enrollment that's happening because they're teaching things I think a lot of parents don't agree with. And so I think we have to take it to that level of representing our community at large, which is a Christian-based community, and we don't approve of those kind of materials. So it just is shocking to me that it's being introduced there. Thank you.
The new animal shelter is being built on a massive fault line. There's residential properties on the east side that have sunk. What is your solution? Scott, why don't we start with you and go down to John, and then we can.
So let's be clear. So John Crofts, actually, I think this was referenced earlier in I think two sessions ago in the county commission meeting, put this forward and said, hey, there's a fault line there. We ought to take a pause in terms of what we should do with the animal shelter. And I'm supportive of that. We need to take a pause. We need to do a geologic look and make sure that that is not the issue, and that we don't put a lot of money into something that then again, now realizing that it's been 300 years since we've had a major event, but still we've got to look at this as a fundamental risk. So once again, when we do look at things, we got to look at the data. You got to look at what it costs. You got to look at what the impact is. You got to look at what you're going to get for it. You got to look at the risk, which a risk is going to be that fault line that we go forward. And you got to look at quality of life. So you really got to look at the data associated with that facility and make a real good decision based in that data. Thank you.
I think it's important to make sure that if we're spending county resources, that it is used wisely. And so if there is chance that it's on a fault line, I think we should definitely look at that. I think that also the cost of the building is a red flag. And so in Bountiful, we had an issue where we were proposing a new city hall, and there were some residents that were getting upset about it, and so then we took a step back, we took a pause, and then we decided to renovate the existing building instead of building a brand new city hall. And so I just think it's good for us to evaluate as we're moving forward, and of course, spending county funds, we just want to look at every possible problem and make sure that we're doing what's judicious.
I think the answer is pretty simple. We just don't build it. We're using a lot of funds for that. I mean, there's a lot of other projects. I mean, the Bountiful Library is going to be $8 million. So maybe there's some tweaks that we can do and not build such large buildings, and if we still want to provide those services. So.
And there we go. I hope you all are enjoying this mic swap as much as I am. I had a delegate the other day call it the Dogma Hall. I don't know if anybody else thinks that was funny, but I thought it was hilarious. Yeah, I mean, this is another reason why it's John Crofts. I don't know if he's left or, oh, there he is. Yeah, raise your hand, John. A round of applause for John. What a stud. So, you know, this is another reason why I think that working with other people who have different resources, John has a history in emergency I mean, it's emergency preparedness, if you will. He sees things that are going to happen that maybe won't happen and feels the risk. And to not take his recommendation is a big miss. It's like having a car salesman on your board and not asking him if you should buy a certain car. This is his talent. And so I think the fact that we aren't listening to him is a miss. It's a miss. Whoops, I sat on a mic.
Yeah, so the biggest confusion that I have when I look at this project, the animal care facility, is why are we tearing it down? You know, my parents live in a home that's over 60 years old, and they keep it up. They do the repairs on it. They keep it functioning. They put new shingles on it when needed. And for some reason, within government, when a building becomes 20 years old, maybe, they like to tear them down and build new ones. And so I think the best way that we can take care of our tax dollars is let's use the existing buildings that we have, and let's renovate, let's make them so that they're not so costly to us. Also, we need to listen to experts. When they say we've got a problem, let's pause, let's look. It's not going to hurt anything. That's what I feel on that.
Do you guys know if you call animal control, they won't even help with most animals?
Definitely not raccoons.
They won't even come get a raccoon. What's the point? All we're going to do is just adopt cats and dogs. So anytime we've got, again, the government participating in the private sector and trying to outdo the private sector, that's a problem. From a business finance background, again, like we've heard, fix what's there, move it, stop it, do something different than wasting money on the greatest, latest, shiniest, brightest item you can have. Unfortunately, I would have voted, like I said earlier, with John to pause it. I think it should be relocated into something that's more central so we're not wasting efficiencies driving all the way through neighborhoods up to the side of the bench each and every time you go on a different service call. So I think there's plenty of things that could be changed there, and we could go on and on, but thank you.
Government is a slow-moving train. It's very different from private sector. All of these projects started with a feasibility study. with data and with experts looking very specifically at the county's needs right now and moving forward into the next decades. So the animal shelter is no different. It was built in 1985. That service is required in state law. It's normally a city responsibility, but all of the city managers in Davis County came together with the former commissioners. I was not in all of those meetings, but they talked about what they wanted to have moving forward, and they were very supportive of this shelter project. And so the feasibility study came in with the size needed for now and the growth. And it's not part of the general fund, it's part of the capital fund, which is different. And it's actually not on the fault. There is fault in the area, for sure. And it's not on the fault. Had there been, the care director spent a whole year looking at potentially other locations, which would have cost another $2-3 million, and they've already brought the price down, working really hard. It's an institutional building, it's not a normal building, so that's why it's $16 million.
Just one comment if we're cool. General fund, capital fund, whatever fund you want to call it, it's all your taxpayer money.
Could I ask a quick, how many of you citizens were involved in any of these discussions?
Let's get back to the debate.
None.
Let's get back.
0. Thank
All
you.
right, let's keep going here. So we're going to start with you, go down, and then loop around since he's the only person who hasn't gone first yet. So what do you consider, in your opinion, is the biggest public safety concern in the county? How would you address it? Is it being addressed?
Well, good thing we do have an elected position called the sheriff that helps with a lot of that. Right now, nationally, where you have issues with illegal aliens and people that are causing crime that we need to take care of. And I'm a full supporter of ICE and law enforcement. I have family that's in law enforcement. My father-in-law was in Highway Patrol for 38 years. I'm a firm believer in backing the blue. Also, a lot of things that can create crime are homelessness, and I think that's one of the things we need to address is making sure that we do have resources. John mentioned that earlier about addiction. Trying to keep crime and addiction off of our streets is what I feel is most important here in Davis County.
Thank you. I think the biggest challenge for our sheriff's department and law enforcement in general is staffing. It's in Bountiful, it was really hard to make sure that we could attract and retain police officers. It used to be that they had 100 people in a gym and they were all applying, and now it's like, you know, for every job, and now the numbers are way down, and so we need to pay them well enough that they want to be in the business. And I'm so grateful for those men and women that do go into law enforcement and that protect us and serve us. And I hope that we can do what we need to do to support them and their departments so that they can continue and so that we can continue to attract and retain quality people that we need to help us in that realm.
Could you repeat the question one more time, please?
What, in your opinion, is the biggest public safety concern? Is it being handled right now? How would you manage it?
Good, thank you. So first off, I am very supportive of our sheriffs and all of our police officers, and I'm grateful for their service. So what I believe is the biggest issue that we have today is high-density housing. In high-density housing, what happens is you have a lot more people in a consolidated area, and crime does go up. There are statistics that verify that going forward. So what would I do different, and what would I work with the sheriff's office? And I've already started working with the sheriff's office. We would do a trend analysis across Davis County of where certain crimes are being committed. We would pre-position sheriffs and police officers in those areas to make sure that we can patrol and take care of those areas going forward. So there's a specific thing based in information, in trend analysis, and looking at high-density housing. By the way, on high-density housing, I would put a stop to high-density housing, not right now, not a moratorium, a pause, until we figure out exactly how much we have for what the impacts are of high-density housing, and we'll come back to that, I'm sure. There's going to be a question, so thank you very much.
Yeah, the first thing that came to my mind was 12 and 14-year-olds driving around on e-motorcycles. I don't know if any of you are experiencing this, but those are, to me, the scariest thing that's happening right now in our neighborhoods, are the kids driving around and without helmets and pulling in front of cars. I talked to the sheriffs and the local police, and their hands are tied. And so I think the biggest impact that you can have as a county commissioner is actually to have good relationship with the state representatives so that they can make new laws. Because right now, you know, we can't control high-density housing as a county commission. There's zero zoning that happens on a commission level. That all happens on the city level. And right now, the county will always give up land for the city to be able to develop and change it, annex automatically. And so the way you change those things is actually by having relationships with your state representatives and having them change the laws that we need made. And there's a lot of state representatives that are running here tonight. I would encourage you to talk to them about those issues.
Lee, go ahead.
Sure. So what I have found, I've gone in and I've taught quite a bit with what's going on. I know that child sex trafficking is a big problem, and we have one of the best setups within our attorneys and the crimes that they're able to go after and successfully charge. But with that being said, the one thing as a commissioner that we're in charge of is the purse, the power of the purse over the sheriff's department. As far as the sheriff's department, they have autonomy from the commissioners. They get to run their own department. There's nothing we can do or say as a commission to tell them how to run their department. So what's important is that you look at the sheriffs and who are running, and that you vote for a really good sheriff that you know can take care of that department. So anyway, I totally agree that we need to take better care of making sure that we're watching over these things as we move forward.
I might look like a cop or a Marine, but trust me, I'm not. My wife said she didn't marry one of those, and so, but I love the police, I love the military, and I will gladly pay more in taxes to support them. I'm very upfront and honest, and I think within the next decade, you're gonna see, and here's the big problem, anybody that's gonna get spit at, yelled at, potentially shot at, is not gonna do that job for under $100,000 a year. It's a supply and demand issue. It's basic business. We have to invest more in our personnel. The two biggest problems, simple, retention and longevity. Mayor Nadolski in Ogden put up on a screen for the state of the city, we have taken 1,000% more lateral transfers from other departments. We took 5 people from one agency in one hiring. Why? Because they're not afraid to pay their people, and they're taking it off of our tax dollar backs because we paid for their training, we paid to promote them. The other thing is leadership. If you don't have good leadership, people don't want to stay and work for you.
Yeah, this is a really great question. 2/3 of the general fund is spent on public safety and criminal justice, and the other third are other responsibilities required in state law. The funding is still not enough for the sheriff's department. They don't have enough jail operations specialists, so there's overtime payment and people burning out because they just don't have enough of the jail operations specialists. So that function is now not out on the streets, but Kendallin is right. We've had serious wage wars over public safety personnel because there's a shortage in our state, there's a shortage in our nation, and it really is a supply and demand problem, as well as honoring them and respecting them and helping them keep their mental health. The other problem, I chair the Children's Justice Advisory Council. It is shocking the numbers of children in this county, which is a great county, who are experiencing trauma and abuse and come into the Children's Justice Center. Also very sobering numbers with domestic violence and sexual assault. You'd be surprised. And the drugs are there too. So.
Lorene, while we have you up, we're going to go to the last question. I'll have you go all the way through Susan, and then we'll come down from John all the way to Scott. Should the county provide services that may compete with private businesses, such as expanded veterinary services? Where should the line be drawn?
Yeah, that's a great question. I had a delegate ask me about that last night. Actually, animal services are required in the law. I already mentioned that. And animals have to be spayed or neutered when they come in and they're going to go back out being adopted. It's required in the law. So right now there is not a veterinarian on staff in the county, and so there are contracts to have that work done by private sector. And that sounds wonderful. I support government doing the things that government has to do, and letting everything else be done by private sector. But there is a shortage of veterinarians as well, and the county is spending a good amount of money. If they could find someone to be in-house as a veterinarian, it would actually save the county money. So I think that answered the question, veterinary service specifically. Thank you.
I think this is one of the few times the commissioners, I think, listened to some of the mayors and some of the other people that were speaking up. Originally, they wanted the animal control lady, director that's, in my mind, thankfully gone, wanted to bring extra low-cost services to the shelter. Excuse me, hold the phone. You want 2 surgery rooms to perform all these other things outside of spay and neuter? No, thank you. We are not in the business to compete with private entities. We have to focus on needs versus want and our core services. Again, let's please try to do everything we can to be common sense and keep from overstepping that line between business and government. Businesses can figure it out better most often than the government can, and faster.
So what we used to have was an animal control shelter. Now we have an animal care facility. And so we have to decide if we want to keep going down this road, we're going to become a boarding facility that puts animals on welfare, and it's going to be long-term. And it's something that we used to have private entities take care of. And why we took that over, I still am trying to figure out. But if we go down this road, then we're going to have to pay for it on our property taxes. And it is the animal care portion of the property tax that they take to cover those, that part of the county. So anyway, I think that we need to be better with our tax dollars. We're already taxed enough. Maybe there's a better way that we can do it. Thanks.
Thank you. My day job has me going in and out of hospitals all across Utah. And I can tell you right now that the least kept up, the most unsanitary hospital that I walk into is the VA. And so whenever we talk about vets, I immediately go to the actual vets. And I think we're building a facility nicer for animals than our soldiers who have come back from war. And that makes me concerned. And I think that there is a responsibility that we have under the law, but part of the problem has always been that the county gets told to do things by the state and not given money to be able to do those things. And so if we're going to be held responsible to do these things, let's get the state to pay up. Let's get funding from them if we can. And I think that that helps all of us as we go, and also help support your local VA. If we're going to talk about vets, I think we got to talk about them. Oh, you need this.
Okay. I second that with, oh no, are we working? Okay. I second the VA. Obviously, I'm a paramedic, so. You know. I know, which is unfortunate. But with the animal control, we don't need to be providing low-cost services and compete. Also, I mean, that goes with other things that we provide in the county. We have golf courses that are subsidized by government funds that could go with private entities. We also have the Western Sports Park. While it's a very nice building, that came with a lot of tax funded dollars. So there's just a lot of things that we can look at, and I would like to have more public input from the community of what do we want to spend money on and what do we want to be able to provide. And I think statutorily we need to be able to provide those services, along with what John said there, as being making sure that there is funding that comes for those things, such as spay, neuter, and things like that. Thank you.
Government should not provide services that the private sector provides, and we should look at each department by department, what is statutorily required, and then we shouldn't pay for things with county funds above and beyond that.
So I think you've heard at least 6 of the 7 people up here with the same answer, so I'm not going to go there. What I'm going to do is talk about how we stop the state mandates from coming down. So I went to the state and I talked to our representatives at the State House. I said, how many of the commissioners have come and talked to you about any of these things and tried to drive it forward? You know what my answer was? 0. So that's what we need to do. We need somebody in place that's able to get the cities together and the county and be able to go to the State House and be able to lobby for these things that should not be mandated down at a city and a county level. And the way I would do that is also I'd pull in Box Elder County and Weber County and Washington County. That's how you do it. I have the experience of doing that, of spending 11 years in Washington, D.C. working with the Senate and the House, Appropriations and Authorizations Committee. I know how to do this, and I will do that. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to call it for the night. We're going to give everybody a 1-minute summation. So we're going to give everybody a 1-minute summation. We're going to start at the end, move this way, so you'll be last, and you just get 1 minute, whatever you want to say to the electorate.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. Thanks again for coming. We've had delegates being very diligent, lots and lots of meetings with lots of people attending. And so thank you so much for doing that work. Again, I'm Laureen Kamalu. I'm the incumbent. There is a lot of information on my website, but my favorite thing is to talk to people in person. My motto for this campaign is empowering the people. Our voices are much more powerful when we understand the facts and we have the facts and we know how things work. And my favorite thing is to help everybody have all of that. So please continue to stay in touch. I think you most all have my cell phone. I'm really good with text and calls, and so please take advantage of that during the campaign and beyond if you have questions about the county. I love serving. I hope to continue to be able to serve you. I love being a public servant, and thanks again.
8 is great. If it's good for the president, it's good for all the politicians. Again, I'm a strong believer in term limits. I think incumbents, after they've done 8 years, should step aside and let other people continue to take over and lead. I want to be that leader for you guys. Without you, I won't make it on the primary ballot, so hopefully I'll be your #1 vote come Saturday, in a week from Saturday. Please, if you haven't, I know you've all already got my texts, my emails, and everything else. Set up an appointment so we can talk more in depth. It's hard to meet the candidates night to spend much more than a couple minutes with you, but I'm available, happy to speak more with you. When it all comes down and it's the final vote, remember, I'm the proven leader, the collaborator, and the relationship builder here. Thank you.
So my motto is taxes should be rare and fully justified. And with that being said, as a commissioner and as a representative of you, I am the only Seat B candidate that signed up to do the convention route only. I did not try and collect any signatures like my 2 opponents did. And so I look at it as, if I'm going to represent you, I need to be able to trust you to pick the best candidate without signatures being in the way. And I'm not afraid to do that. I'm not afraid to work hard, and I'm not afraid to represent all of you. And I look forward to Saturday, the convention, the 18th, and I hope to, and I ask for your vote. Thanks.
So folks, we're at a crossroads. Unless we do something different, unless we have different leadership, we're going to get more of the same. And the same has been continually having tax increases and not having strategic planning going forward. So what I would say to you is I will be that strategic planning. I will bring my 42 years of experience in doing exactly that. And most importantly, I will include you, the citizens in the decisions instead of decisions being made in back rooms. So I would ask for your vote. I'm also only a convention candidate only. I'm not collecting signatures. There's only 2 of us up here. Austin and I are the only ones that did that. The other 2 have collected signatures. So I would ask for your vote. Seat A, Scott Fletcher. Thank you very much.
I'm Kendall-Lynn Harris, really proud to have been able to serve as mayor in Bountiful the last 4 years and on the city council for 8 years prior. For 12 years, I've had oversight over the budget there, and it's the 2nd largest city in the county. It really makes a big difference to be able to bring that experience to the county level. I am so grateful for the chance to dig in. There are a lot of changes that I feel like need to be made, and I would love to bring my expertise and help in this way, and I believe that I can help. So thanks for your support, Kendall-Lynn Harris.
I'm Austin Gray, running for Seat A, convention only. I am excited to come to convention with you guys on the 18th, and I hope that all of you guys come and support me. What I want to do is make sure that I have open communication. Like I said, I'm going to be holding monthly town halls as soon as, if you guys choose to elect me. And I want to be able to be a voice for you guys, for the county. And I would appreciate your support. And if you have any other questions, I took all of work off next week so I could make sure that I am able to be available for all the delegates. And please call me with any questions. I'll be more than happy to talk to you. Thank you.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, Austin, thank you for your service as a paramedic. Honestly, saving lives is the coolest thing. The second thing is I do need to talk to the pastor because these chairs are incredible. And I want to know where he got them or if I can buy them from him at some point in time. You know, trying to reach out to all of you delegates has been near impossible. I've called so many times. And so I had this idea last week where I called a delegate and he answered the phone. And I said, wait, before we talk very long, I want to see if you would do a podcast with me. And it was raw and it was scary because he honestly was not my guy. He had not offered to vote for me yet and still hasn't for that matter. So I would just ask if you're interested in having a longer conversation with me and you don't have time to be able to sit down with me or talk to me on the phone, take a listen. It's an hour, which sounds awful, but believe me, it flies. And you can find it on electjohnadams.com. So I hope for your vote, but in the meantime, enjoy the podcast, right? So thank you so much. And thanks again for having us. What a wonderful time. A round of applause, please, for everyone.
Yeah, give everybody a round of applause for coming out. So I want to make sure everybody makes good decisions this election. So pay close attention to the topics, but even just as importantly, talk to each other as delegates so that you guys kind of get on the same page, because we've had a lot of delegates that are Democrat registering as Republican and becoming delegates. So try to weed some of that out and talk to each other. Watch the God and Country podcast. We're on YouTube, Rumble, and every place else. So be sure to pay attention to us and help support the channel.
Yes, I definitely want to thank the candidates for being here. It takes a lot to run for office. I really, that is not something I really look forward to doing if I ever not do that. Anyway, I also want to thank Uriah and Ingrid for being here. They've been here for 3. Hopefully we're going to get them back for 4 for CD1. I have one thing I want to say to delegates. It's been said that there's been a few candidates that have stacked the delegates. If you're a stacked delegate, I just want to ask you to take a step back and look at all of the candidates, because that's the job. You shouldn't run to just support one candidate without thinking about whether that candidate is the best candidate. So that's one thing I wanted to say. Lastly, we're going to be here 2 weeks from today. It will be just prior to state convention, so we will have a topic that deals with state convention. And then 2 weeks after that, we're going to have Ben Carr and Jen Spencer. Ben Care. So if you saw the movie Stand Out, we did an event with, he's going to be here to speak. Bring your families, you'll love it. 2 really inspirational speakers that evening, so watch for that email. Thank you everybody for coming. We need to exit the building ASAP.
I was going to say, Faith Baptist does an amazing job opening up their building for us. If you guys are willing to donate to them, it helps them a lot.
Thank you. Hey, these are really cool microphones.